Imagine if the forces that pulled the strings behind human existence wasn't anything so divine or spiritual, but in fact was one of the most intelligent and vindictive alien species in all of fiction. Ones that will genetically destroy you if you decide to oppose their agenda. That is the reality we live in all tomorrows. Now look guys, you guys know I'm a movie dude. I'm a cinema vigilante. However, I wanted to approach a different medium this time because sometimes I do that. Sometimes my fans want me to talk about games, specific lore from games like Dead Space, Halo, blah, blah, blah. I'll do it. This time I wanted to take a look at a novel called All Tomorrows. Now, I didn't read the novel because I can't read. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a cokehead with manic episodes. It's very hard for me to read. With that being said, I did a lot of deep dives into the lore of this, okay? Because people wanted me to talk about a specific set of aliens. I'm a big alien guy. I talk about aliens on this channel all the time. But the Q, I don't know how the fuck to pronounce their name. I'm gonna call them the Q. I think it's pronounced Q, but I don't care. The Q aliens in this are some of the most, in concept, they're not as scary as some of the aliens that we've talked about before on this channel, but I'm gonna be real. The idea of these things even existing is terrifying. Not because of what they are physically, but what they are mentally and what they are very capable of doing to a race they deem as inferior. The All Tomorrow's aliens are a race of intelligent creatures that are billions of years old. I think they're 1 billion years old, okay? They were transversing the galaxies, modifying creatures before we discovered fucking fire. They are responsible for many genetic modifications to multiple species across the galaxies, responsible for basically influencing evolution as they see fit. It is very possible and it's highly theorized that they are behind us, humanity. At some point, as a result of their experimentations, we came into being, similar to the engineers from Prometheus who, dabbling with their pathogen, we were created in a sense. Now that's not confirmed, but it's very likely that we are a direct result of experimentation and descendancies from different beings that they created. Essentially, they look like this, okay? They have 2 large eyes, they have a very insect-like appearance, they have a hummingbird's wings, the way they just flutter constantly. I don't know if they use spaceships to travel, I would assume so, but they have a large prehensile tail that is used to, I guess it can grab things, attack things, it can be used to grab tools when they're doing their research and their freaking experiments and all that stuff. The thing about it is, as weird and creepy as their design is, it doesn't come close to what's up here. You see, they'll deal with the species and they'll bounce, they'll leave, okay? For millions of years, allowing that species to grow and fester, like humanity, okay? Humanity grew and evolved. What happened was humanity decided, okay, cool, we want to fucking take over Mars. So we're going to have a civil war with the Martians there. We're going to colonize them and we're going to do genetic modifications of our own because we're fucking idiots. So they decided, okay, in the pursuit of greatness, we're going to genetically modify and create new beings. So the descendants of the modifications between them and Martians that they colonized were known as star people. Enhanced humans, okay, as a direct result of melding of DNA between Martians and humans, okay? And I'm guessing humans and Martians fucked at some point. Let's just be real about it. It happens. Star people are enhanced to the point where they were creating their own intelligent civilization, and the Q aliens came back and saw this, and saw the genetic modifications done by humans. They were like, what the hell? These guys are trying to do what we do? They think they can be us? Hell no. We are the only benefactors of the universe that do this shit. So the Q decided, okay, cool, we're going to punish the shit out of humans now. We're going to just lay waste to the entire human civilization. So they did that. They destroyed a bunch of star people. They destroyed a bunch of humans. And not only that, they took the star people, they took the humans, and they performed genetic modifications on them to make them suffer. So humans became split into multiple different forms. So we got forms like these and these. Absolutely disgusting. Our intelligence was completely taken from us. Okay, we were turned into terrifying, grotesque entities with low IQ, essentially. For some of us, we got basically turned into husks of knitted flesh with eyeballs sticking out. What the fuck? This reminds me a lot of Tusk, some of the body horror, and I'm telling you, this would make one of the greatest horror movies of all time. Okay? If you were to just show the Q aliens invading humanity and torturing them and turning them into this, that's like the first act of the craziest horror movie I've ever seen in my life. Then they left. The Q did this to us, and then left for 1,000,000 years, and allowed the remnants of humanity to evolve and grow again, becoming a new empire in a sense, a galactic empire. And some of these humans grew to the point where they were able to go to war with the Q later on and defeat a lot of them. You see, the Q physically are not a threat. They're not as threatening as many of the creatures we talked about. We've talked about beings like Calvin, the Thing, the Predillion, right? The Tyranids. Those are like OP creatures. The Q are not that. What's terrifying about the Q is their intelligence. They use nanobot technology and multiple technologies for genetic modification. They could fucking send a fleet of nanobots that are this like atomic sized, and those nanobots will come into our bodies and basically take apart our DNA strands and form us into something else. Can you imagine how freaking terrifying that is, man? That's horrifying. That's one of the most horrifying alien invasions I've ever seen in my life. But they have hubris. They underestimate some of their genetic progeny. And so we were able to come back millions of years later. This is a battle that's taken place over the course of millions upon millions upon millions of years. What's even scarier about these creatures is their resolve because of their religion. They have a religion that's based in megalomania. They believe they are rightful gods. The Q follow the agenda of some nameless higher force that opposes the existence of all sapient life. And they believe sapient life to be a freaking plague in the universe, essentially. And this plague would eradicate the natural order of the universe and destroy everything in its path. To serve their purposes, they act basically as intergalactic nomads. Basically, they take a bunch of species and modify them millions of years at a time before moving on. They believe their mission is a divine calling and that they alone are worthy of doing this, no other species. They remind me a lot, they're like the precursors from Halo if they also had the mindset of the Forerunners from Halo. If you know about the Forerunners, I'm pretty sure the Forerunners literally purposely devolved a whole set of human beings into sent them back to the caveman days. It's theorized that they serve a queen of their hive that is now long dead, and this queen was worshipped as a sort of nature goddess, giving them meaning. It's also theorized that they serve the cycle of entropy and death itself as a god, as something that needs to happen. Or they worship their own dominion over the universe and use religion, this ideology, as an excuse to do what the fuck they want. The Q are not truly evil, nor full of hate towards other life forms. Instead, they are too indoctrinated by their own religion and extremist beliefs. They simply believe that what they're doing is the right thing. It's the only right thing. The Q, in dreams of an ideal future, they distort the worlds they come across. Later, with their insane desire to recreate the past, they cause the ugliest massacres in the history of the galaxy. Now, I thought that the Qs might have worshipped another being within the All Tomorrow's lore called the Author. Okay, the Author is, again, a being we don't know anything about. Fans speculate on what this creature is. This guy is basically an alien researcher that studied the history of humanity billions of years after their end. No one knows who he is or what he is. I thought he was a god of this universe, maybe, of this world that Altamar set up, but I was wrong, completely wrong. There's one image of him holding a billion-year-old human skull or something, and this has confounded me. Ever since I saw this, I'm like, who is this dude? It's theorized he is a long-time descendant of humanity, maybe one of the mutations that the Q caused, but he is highly intelligent, and in studying the mess that these creatures created, coupled with the rise and fall of humanity multiple times over, and the perils of genetic alteration in the pursuit of perfection, he came away with one lesson, and this is the whole point of the freaking novel. Here's a quote. One of the most beautiful quotes ever. Even now, it is sickeningly easy for beings to get lost in false grand narratives, living out completely driven lives in pursuit of non-existent codes, ideals, climaxes in the golden ages. And blindly thinking that their stories serve absolute ends, such creatures almost always end up harming themselves, if not those around them. To those like the misguided, look at the story of man, and come to your senses. It is not the destination, but the trip that matters. What you do today influences tomorrow, not the other way around. Love today and seize all tomorrows. Interesting. That is the takeaway from all this shit. From some of the most terrifying aliens I've ever seen that will freaking turn you into knitted pieces of flesh with eyeballs. That is the takeaway, y'all. The Q from All Tomorrows are some of the most disgustingly interesting aliens I've ever seen in my life. And I truly think that if Hollywood if they have a couple brain cells, just make a film, maybe a short film. Maybe Shudder can do this if they have enough money. I don't think they will, but make a short film showcasing the Q invading a bunch of humans and turning them into something abominable. That's like the opening for the scariest sci-fi horror movie I've ever seen in my life. Ever. Now, this is a very hard novel to make in a movie because these kind of stories that are told in this span like millions and millions of years, and it's just not a story that people can it's not a story that people can watch and digest easily, right? It's hard to do this. Even making a TV series about this horror. I would just say make a little horror short film about an invasion of the Q aliens on like the Star People. That'll be terrifying. In fact, you could probably do it in stop motion. I know there's a lot of animation work done on All Tomorrows and concept, like on YouTube and shit. They can do it, okay? If you want to know the most disturbing alien I've ever seen in cinema from a show called Love, Death, and Robots, something that will make you never sleep again, watch this video over here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on a mission to take over Hollywood. But the army must keep growing. If you want to suggest video topics to me, or talk about your favorite movies or favorite film theories in a community with like-minded individuals, join the Zafy Discord now. Link is in the description and the comment section as well. Join us. This movement is just beginning. We're taking over Hollywood, one coke line at a time.